think you're absolutely right, because as soon as he got out, they then pushed the car back a little bit. So they were, so he's put something on the side of the cockpit to give him a reference point to, because it's so even, look how far that yellow line goes out, and it's still hard to see it, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's super awesome to see how dedicated he is to still this perfect preparation, because that will give him easily 40, 50 centimeters. You know, if he has the confidence that he can go all the way to the limit, because he has a perfect reference visually with his eyes, it will give him half a meter, which is a lot, you know, maybe down in turn one.
Well, especially if you want to try and cut in front of somebody. Let's just look at the livery on this beautiful Ferrari. It's a different red this weekend. It's to commemorate the 1975 Grand Prix here in Monza. Niki Lauda finished third, but became the world champion. Regazzoni won, and the team became the team's the constructors' champions. And the beautiful, the pinstripes and the white engine cover. And this will be particularly pertinent for Lewis, won't it? Because obviously Niki played such a key role in Lewis going to Mercedes-Benz. Let's go around the back a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Niki was the deciding person to convince him to come to Mercedes-Benz away from McLaren. And they had a very special relationship, to my annoyance sometimes. But yes, Niki meant a lot to him, and so I think that will mean a lot to him to be driving that car today also in memory of Niki.
Yeah, Formula One's all about the next session, all about tomorrow, the next championship, but it's great to tip your cap, isn't it?
Let's just talk about, I spoke to Lewis's engineer called Ricardo, and he was actually very positive. Sainz is behind us.
Yep.
Oh, but he's too far. Missed that. He was very positive. He said Lewis is super excited to try and make up positions. We saw that in the interview before. And he said we're only 2/10 away per lap, perhaps, from McLaren. So he's quite fiery, which was very nice to see.
So what's Lewis's job today? How aggressive do you think he should be on the opening laps to try to make up those places?
Well, how many times have we seen a great recovery drive from Lewis in his career? If one person can do it, he can do it. He's brilliant also in understanding where to position himself in turn one to make up positions. So there's no reason why he can't have a fantastic race and really move up into the top 5 quickly today.
I found a wheelsmith on the grid. We'll have a quick chat with him as we're getting the big... No, you happy to have a chat? Good to see you, Gabby. I saw you having a fight with Fernando in the paddock, trying to run him into a motorhome on a scooter. You might have broken his arm or something.
Yeah, like this, maybe we don't fight on track after.
Gabriele, you had another fantastic qualifying yesterday. Are you really still starting to gel with the car, you know, and you think it's going to convert that into the race today?
Yeah, I think I'm getting more and more confident every race, and I don't know, I felt like I extracted a lot from it yesterday, and hopefully we have a good race pace today and have a good result.
All right, all the best.
Well done. Have a great day.
He's a bit of a rising star, Martin, isn't he?
I think he's really a star of the future.
Because we know how good Nico Hülkenberg is in qualifying, and Gabriele has been beating him time and time again lately, which is very impressive.
Yeah, there's a renegade somewhere around here I want to talk to. Swerving Eddie Irvine. Where is he? Can you see him? He's all dressed in black, menacingly. He's now behind us, apparently. So can you see him? Oh, there. No, he isn't. Yeah, he's back by the Merc, apparently. So, oh, there he is. I can see him. We'll see what ex-Ferrari driver talking to Emanuele Pirro as well. So we'll have to get rude and butt in on this conversation, Nick, I'm sure.
Can we interrupt, like, really apologetically? Very sorry. Eddie, you're the one.
We're discussing pasta and carbonara.
Eddie, you're the one, if anyone can tell us, how does it feel to be a Ferrari driver and to go around here with the whole country, like, expecting great things from you?
It's better to be an ex-Ferrari driver standing here experiencing this, because when you were driving, I never experienced this. I was like focused on the car. It was the result was all that mattered. As you guys know, this is fanfare. I never paid any attention to it until the Sunday night. Then it was great. I love coming now because I get to experience this for the first time.
Well, we've seen you at quite a few races lately. Are you thinking of a comeback? I mean, Bottas is coming back, Perez. You're only in your 50s.
Well, because Stefano, the boss of Formula One's a good friend. So Stefano always gives me a pass. Why, when Bernie was the boss, he used to break your balls. And I don't like my balls being broken, so I never came.
Right, you'll get me into trouble. You know you're going to get me into trouble. That's the end of that interview. You're a horrible person. Goodbye. Apologies for the colourful, spherical nature of Eddie Irvine's explanation there. Are you still here, Nico? Right, let's go. We haven't been thrown off air yet. Here's another of the beautiful Ferrari. Let's go forward to see the McLarens and the Red Bull and see who we can find down there. We've got a little bit of time left yet. Anything else you want to talk about, Nico? Anything
no, I just saw Niki Lauda's son, so but I missed out on that because that would have been nice to see his emotions for today.
Where is he then?
Right no, we've lost him. Yeah,
he's such a nice guy. He does TV. I think he's working on TV. He's probably trying to do a similar thing to us. So let's see if we can find around. We've got
Laurent. This is the one. Let's get Laurent. Laurent, Lee, are you here? Yes. May we ask you, so we're hearing from McLaren, they're really worried about your race pace as well. Not only the Max Verstappen magic yesterday, but they think, you know, you can really win this today.
You know, at first, yes, he did really some magic yesterday, so, you know, we are conscious of that, you know, not only in the car, but also out of the car. He really pushed us into a rather unusual setup direction, and it worked, so he did a very, very good job. If you look at the last few races, you know, McLaren always have something more in the race compared to qualifying. Wherever we were compared to them, they always tend to open the gap. So we expect to have to defend. How hard will we need to defend? Will we be able to defend? It's the question. Quite hard.
But are we also starting to see some Laurent magic at Red Bull Racing? I mean, the team is on an upward trajectory here. Is this? Are you doing a fantastic job then?
No, absolutely not. There is no individual. It's a fantastic team effort. The guys are doing a very good job. It was a very good job in Zandvoort. It's also a very good job now. Nobody is giving up. You know, we want to use these races to get to the bottom of what has been limiting us this year. And it's nice when you see some encouragement like yesterday. But we are very conscious of what is left to improve.
Do you still burn a candle for the Racing Bulls, your team? Do you keep an eye on them, or are you just blinking for Red Bull now?
Always do a candle for the Racing Bulls, of course.
All right, good stuff. Let's keep. So is Jackie Hicks is over here somewhere. He's been driving around the track, Nico, hasn't he? In a beautiful car. Let's see what his experiences were. There he is.
He's been driving around in his car from 1971 that he won the race here with, and he said he felt like 25 years old again.
Jackie, apparently you felt like you were 25 years old again when you were driving your car around the track, Nico says.
Almost, because we went back in the past for 55 years. So 25 is the correct number. It was fantastic.
You enjoyed it, yeah?
Very, very, very much. Look around you. Monza is special.
Is this the greatest thing for a race driver? To come to Monza, be in that Ferrari and win that race? Is that the maximum?
You're right, Nico. You have done it. You know what it is. That's why Monza is so different. The margin is narrow with all these guys. We are going to have a tough Grand Prix.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Nice to see you, my friend. Right, we need to get under the rope, Nico, if we can. There was somebody else I was hoping to talk to up at this part of the grid, but you can't see the wood for the trees. How are you? Nice to see you.
Who's your money on today, Martin, if you were a betting man?
I would say, I think Max is going to win this race, if I'm honest. I think Max is going to win.
I'm going to go for Lando. I think the pressure is off.
So Jackie, we're just coming through. We're just coming through. How are you?
Wonderful. I mean, Monza's the best. The spectators are the best. They know more than anybody else. And the climate's good.
I'm going for Silverstone personally, but I know what you mean. Do you miss racing here?
Yep. I'm going to stay in here. I've got some people here. So we're going to see it from here.
Well, if you need any help getting under the rope, I owe you a couple. Cheers. All right, we got 1 minute 30, Nico. So if we're going to find anybody to have a chat to, we've already talked to Gabby Bortoletti. You can't bother him again. And
I'll go for Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar, what do you think? How important is the start going to be today?
Pretty important. I didn't realize this was Nico's grid walk. No, it'll be important. So see what we can do. Hopefully make up 2 spots. That'll be good.
Okay, all the best.
And I've got Ollie Bierman. We've got a bit of a double act going on here. Ollie, how's it going? Another great performance in qualifying.
Yeah, quali went well. Just about missed out on Q3, but it's very close out there. We don't have great top speed, so we'll see what we can do today.
All right, good stuff. Have a great run down to that.
I'll be late to the drivers' thing.
You're okay.
Fine.
They need to be careful about that. that, Martin?
I know,
Because if they're not there on the dot, they get a big penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's why they're running. Look at them running. Look at Max running.
You know what? They're probably nervous about maybe getting penalty points as well as paying the fine, but they've all had their preparation. They've got their cold jackets on. How important were we? Got 25 seconds left. How important are those cold jackets?
Everything counts, huh? And if that keeps your body colder and in a better state for the beginning of the race, it's going to make a difference because the race is tough. It's physically very tough. Today is hot. These cars are so fast. It's going to be a demanding race.
We got 8 seconds left. Do you wish you were still driving on the grid today?
I'm good. I'm good from this perspective.
I wish I was on the grid, but this is the anthem.
Trophy. That's mad. The Italian national anthem is brazen, bro. Guy's face. Jets, bro. Got a display. Red, white, and green. Green, white, and red.
Absolutely epic. The most stirring piece of music in sport. Bold, rhythmic, loaded with energy, much like a race around this great track. And the start to that race will be absolutely crucial. Let's head to Crewe and the Sky Pad to take a look.
Let's go back to last year. We had the two McLarens on the front row. Lando Norris on pole on the left, Oscar Piastri alongside him. Now Lando came across to the right-hand side to cover off the inside, but that gave Oscar a bit of a slipstream. It also allowed Oscar to go on the clean side of the track under braking for the first chicane. Lando did a great job defending on the way in, but had a bit of a snap on the way out. Now Oscar's in the slipstream here. He's got a great toe coming all the way around the Curva Grande. Lando's fully aware that he's there, covers the inside line. Oscar goes for the outside. If we just slow it down here, you can see Oscar is momentarily in front. And at this point, Lando's in a tricky position because he's aware Oscar's not going to back out of this fight. So he's got to then slow down. There, now look, he gets a snap of oversteer. That costs him a whole heap of momentum. Piastri now takes the lead. But that snap of oversteer and the lost momentum allows Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari to get a run on Norris and get past into Lesmo 1. So the battle on the opening lap isn't just about the first chicane. We've got to watch out how it goes all the way up to the Lesmos.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. How much would Lando like to do that to Max today?
Exactly, he can get his revenge after last year. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with the tyres. I think there will be a few people going aggressive to put a soft tyre on to make the most of that lap one on the start. Others will think maybe long game with the medium or the hard.
Oscar Piastri looking very cool, calm and collected there. Nothing seems to faze that guy, does it?
No, I can confirm that. I just spoke to him. He's just so relaxed, so composed. And that's why he's leading the World Championship. That is his greatest strength. That mental state is phenomenal. It's such a strength.
Well, it was Max Verstappen who put it on pole, though. The car we're standing right next to right now. Let's hear from him. He's with Rachel.
it's a fantastic lap yesterday, and the pace actually looks pretty good in your car. If you get away at the start, can you control this?
Friday was all right, yeah. I know, of course, that McLaren normally steps it up in the race compared to qualifying, so that will be a tough battle, but we just need to focus on ourselves, try to do the best we can, keep the tires alive, and then we'll see where we end up.
What would it mean to you and the team to win this one today?
Yeah, we always want to win. That's always the target, and of course today that is our target, but let's see how realistic that is.
Thank you. Go.
Okay, well, the crowd expects. What can they look forward to in this race, Jamie? Will we be able to see a result from one of their drivers? Kimi Antonelli, obviously an Italian driver, doesn't drive for Ferrari, but they'd love to see a great result from him, wouldn't they?
Exactly. Never say never. This place is always going to conjure up something special, and we've seen that in so many years gone past. So never say never. There's extra energy they're going to have here, so hopefully they can use that.
And Nico Gabriel Bortoleto there, starting a career best 7th for Sauber. And it's testament to the trajectory of this team that he was actually a little bit disappointed with that qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, ever since Mattia Binotto joined that team, it's been on an upward trajectory. I think he brought a couple of secrets along there, maybe. So that's really positive to see and reassuring for next year when Audi's coming in. I wonder what they're doing there with Lando's arm.
Mouthwash, actually. It's like menthol mouthwash. It gives your sensation, or your body the sensation of feeling cold. It's very weird, but if it tricks your brain into feeling cooler, then it works.
So I used to put Tiger Balm on my whole body, but it's pretty extreme because you're like actually shivering. It's so cold, although it's like roasting hot. But I guess it's a good technique.
Wow, you drivers are interesting characters, aren't you? Okay, on the way next, we have got the Italian Grand Prix.
This is going to be one of those races where Hamilton is going to start from 10th place and he's just going to go through it. You're going to see him coming from behind, just goes through it. Yeah, no chance. But I don't think he can win it. But he can definitely gain up to 5 places in this race, and that will be a good finish for him, considering from having that crash yesterday. That was wild. Here we go. He's just gonna go for it. He's got nothing to lose. He's got a point in every race, to be honest. I think he's probably one of the few drivers that have done it. One of the few drivers that have scored a point in every race. So I can't see him scoring a point today. If everything goes to plan, I can see him finishing 5th. Oh, Monza.
atmosphere, the history of this racetrack, and that it's such a huge day ahead. You just see a sea of red Ferrari fans. As soon as they see you driving by, they start knocking on the windows, and you're really trying to focus. You try to switch off everything, all the distractions. Monza is so fast. And it's so challenging. Bumps, big braking, hitting those curbs in the chicane, fast corners. It is an incredible challenge. Being a Ferrari driver and racing in Monza, loaded with responsibility because you feel that you're racing for the entire country. I'm so grateful that I got to experience what it's like to win here in this historic place and to stand on that podium, which is one of the most spectacular podiums of the whole year. The person who gets to stand on the top step should really just take in all that history. Even if you're not in Ferrari, it's just an incredible moment.
Here at Monza. The tyres today, the soft might be a bit too soft, but if you fancy an aggressive start, the C5 is one for you. C4, the medium tyre, the favourite race tyre, and C3, the hard tyre, which will come into play. And it's a glorious day here too. Track temperature, 44 degrees, the air temperature hovering around 27 degrees. The sun has been out and it's baking our starting grid. There are 18 cars on it because 2 start from the pit lane. Pierre Gasly's got a new power unit, as has Isaac Hadjar, who was out in Q1 for the first time in his career. In the last 3 races before this, the Racing Bulls had all reached Q3, but they were both out in Q1. Lawson 18th, and he's alongside Colapinto in 17th. Lance Stroll starts 16th, 11 Q1 knockouts for him this season. Esteban Ocon down in 15th, where he started last year. 2 Williams drivers side by side and level at 8 all in the inter-team qualifying battle, Albon and Sainz. Hulkenberg starts 12th, his highest start since Canada. Ollie Behrman starts 11th, and he's equalled his Haas battle with Esteban Ocon at 8 all as well. Lewis Hamilton starts 10th with a 5-place grid penalty. He's alongside Yuki Tsunoda, top 10 here for the first time ever. Fernando Alonso starts 8th, his highest start here in 3 years, and he's alongside Gabriel Bortoleto from his management stable. It's the 2 Mercedes level on the 3rd row of the grid. Antonelli, his highest start since Canada, alongside George Russell, who's 5th. Charles Leclerc won here from 4th last year. He's got the championship leader Oscar Piastri alongside him, and the front row is the same as it was in Miami. It's Lando Norris who starts 2nd, and Max Verstappen with the fastest lap ever to take pole yesterday. It was a magnificent effort from Max Verstappen. And the thing is, Martin Brundle, when you walk around the paddock, nobody will be surprised if you can't go on and win the race as well.
He certainly got some pace in the longer runs on Friday too. Ferrari's decided not to do anything different for Lewis Hamilton down in 10th. So the top 13 start on the medium compound tyre. That's the sort of rational one-stopper medium hard compound. Only one driver out there in 18th, Liam Lawson, on the soft compound tyre. But so pretty much a consensus then in the front of the grid as we look at the World Championship leader, calmly waiting for the next part of this process. They get pretty used to it these days. It's the 4th longest run down to the first corner, but it's very tight when you get down there. And your rear tyres are quite warm because they've transmitted 1,000 horsepower all the way down there. Your front tyres less so. You've got full tanks of fuel and you've got to pick a braking point. Brake too early, somebody will run into you. Brake too late, you'll run into somebody else. You've got to get that absolutely right. You don't want to square off your tyres before you've even got round the first corner. So it's always a tense moment for the drivers and the pit wall.
Max Verstappen then on that pole position. He has won here twice before from the front row in 2023 and from grid spot number 7 in 2022 when his Red Bull with a new power unit just sliced through the field. And a lot of Ferrari fans hoping here that Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc can slice through the field today. A podium would be good enough, is what I'm being told by the Tifosi. We shall see if they can go and do that. Charles Leclerc, winning from 4th on the grid last year, has given them a bit of hope that history could repeat itself as we tick towards our formation lap. It's 3 o'clock here in Monza. We welcome viewers on Sky Sports main event to the Italian Grand Prix, where McLaren go into this race with a 324-point lead in the Constructors' Championship. They could seal that next time out in Baku, and it's a 34-point lead for Oscar Piastri in the Drivers' Championship, which will go on a few races longer. Medium tyres for most of the starting grid. It should be a one-stop strategy, but let's see if the safety car comes into play on a track where if you do tangle, there's gravel waiting to catch you out, Martin.
But down in the first corner, there's a couple of get-out-of-jail-free cards. It depends how far you get around the corner. You can go straight on
Medium
and zigzag through the polystyrene bollards, and then you've got to work out how to feed back in, where you would have been had you basically not have overtaken a lot of people by out-braking yourself. Or if you get into the first corner, you can bump across the inside the apex of turn 2. But that seems to carry a lot of penalty and can damage the underneath the car. Max wants a very hot formation lap, doesn't he? He's really stretching the field out and getting on with it.
Tribute there to Giorgio Armani, who passed away on Thursday, aged 91. He sponsored the Ferrari team. He was very close with Charles Leclerc as well, and a collaboration and a friendship too. Charles saying he was an exceptional person and an honour to get the chance to meet and work with him, and his passing very much felt here in Milan country. It's Ferrari country, but it's the two papayas who are leading that championship battle. Lando Norris, nothing to lose, has to go for it. He's ahead of his teammate, and if it finishes 2nd and 3rd, I don't suppose Oscar Piastri will be too upset by that.
Yeah, but at the same time, Lando doesn't need, take the front corner off or front wing off he's still very much in the championship, although it's become somewhat more difficult since last weekend. What Lando Norris does need is a slipstream down to the first corner somehow, so he'll be trying to duck in. Whether Max comes his way or Lando goes Max's way, if he can, he'll be desperate to try not to be punching a hole in the air for everybody on the right-hand side of the grid.
And that is very bad news for Nico Hülkenberg before we even get going. Down at Spurt, they're telling him to peel off into the pit lane. So I would imagine a mechanical issue for Nico Hülkenberg, who's got power at the very least.
We've got Jonathan Wheatley on the...
Oh man, you serious?
Nico is gone.
Well, Jonathan Wheatley is our friendly pit boss for the weekend. We'll get him on as soon as we can.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll find out directly from the Sauber pit wall as to what the problem is. But my goodness, sometimes the car lets you down on the formation lap, but to actually get a radio call to park what appears to you to be a relatively healthy car, those two going in the pit lane are obliged to do that because they're pit lane starters.
First time Nico Hülkenberg has had a retirement in 2025. It's officially a did not start because he didn't take the lights to start this, and he's never had a retirement here at Monza either. So that leaves us 17 cars on the grid, 2 starting from the pit lane, Verstappen and Norris on the front row, Piastri and Leclerc behind them on row 2, and it's a 476-meter charge down towards the first chicane, the Italian Grand Prix in 2025. It's lights out.
Lights out. Away we go.
Verstappen then leads them away. Here
Max
comes Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri getting a slipstream behind Verstappen.
Oh
and then
my
Charles
God.
Leclerc as
Oh my
Norris gets
God.
onto the grass and manages to keep it under control. Into that first chicane we go. And
Max got
Verstappen
corner.
goes
You have to
wide,
do it. You have
goes
to do
off
it.
the runoff area, retains the
Whoa,
lead. Charles
Leclerc. Jump to
gets
third.
ahead of Oscar Piastri.
Yes.
We'll have to give that place
Oscar.
back. I think he'll do
What
that
happened to
in
Oscar?
the least pain he can get away with. And look at the Ferrari, Leclerc
happened
right
to
in the
Oscar?
slipstream as well. So Max, I believe that he kept or maintained position by going off the track. We'll see it again. But
Lewis
at the
up
moment
to
he
8th.
is not feeling the need to yield.
Charles Leclerc on the charge, almost went right into
Lewis
the
is up
back
to
there
8th.
of Lando Norris, but round the outside goes Oscar
Whoa,
Piastri.
Norris
That was
took
bold and
that
brave,
spot back
and
from
that's
Leclerc.
his third place back again.
Wow. What happened to my stream? What happened to my stream?
What are you doing?
Wow,
watching
not preserving his championship lead. He's going all out aggression there to win that place back.
We back.
What's this idiot doing? Come on.
Do you like the most?
Just put me in the grass and
Ferrari.
he's just got the
And the concern about that is any aerodynamic damage, but also grass and that in your radiator duct. These cars are only cool by passing through the air.
Kimi Antonelli's had a bad start. He's down at a 10th. Hamilton is up to 9th. Sonoda 8th. Alonso 7th. And Bortoletto 6th. Race controls noted that incident between Verstappen and Norris. Verstappen's been told to give back the position. Where's he going to do that as he crosses the line ahead then of Lando Norris? Piastri ahead of Charles Leclerc. That's where the position is then given back. Lando Norris now leads the Italian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc is getting involved once again. Down the inside goes Oscar Piastri.
Norris takes the lead.
Charles Leclerc, brilliant switcheroo down that chicane. And I think he's going to get past Oscar Piastri. What a battle these two are giving him.
Whoa, Leclerc takes the They're coming back. Norris
trying to go down the outside again. Max let that position go in just the right place so that they could squabble behind him, and he maintained second.
Jeez.
So DRS will now be enabled.
And the stewards happy. No further investigation for Max Verstappen. Stroll is now down into 19th place, and Lando Norris is charging away. Piastri's still on the tail of Charles Leclerc. George Russell's on the tail of Piastri.
Now let me clarify that. There's no further investigation because he's given the place back, not because they think he didn't do anything wrong, and then Verstappen has just given the place up unnecessarily.
Leclerc's all over the place on the braking. To avoid him.
I think that was going into the second chicane where Oscar had to back out a little bit, almost lost a bit of front wing end plate, and he's going to pick up a really good slipstream going down the main straight here if he can hang on to the Ferrari through the
God, the Ferrari.
which he seems to be doing quite well. Out in front, 7/10 a gap between Norris and Verstappen, and then Leclerc a little bit further back under pressure from Piastri.
Oh, here comes Norris again. Piastri.
Alonso Hamilton in 8th is ahead now of Sonoda. Into that first corner we go.
Oh, lock up there, lock up, double lock up.
Is under pressure once again and survives this time.
The championship leaders, front wing and front wheels and tyres.
Monza, bro. Monza.
Company with some other cars, and that then is Bortoletto steaming down towards the second chicane.
Bortoletto having a go on George Russell, and Bortoletto for one moment thinking he was going to get past, but nothing doing. Russell maintains that 5th place.
Clean ticket for Norris out front. He can run in clean air. That's why he'll be desperate to stay in front of Verstappen. Verstappen, of course, is within the 1 second zone, so gets the rear wing open. Gains about 7 or 8 kilometers per hour, 5 miles an hour. The Red Bull's quick in a straight line as well, but the Ferrari is the quickest car in a straight line.
25 points for a win, 12 points for 4th. I said Oscar Piastri wouldn't be too bothered if he lost 3 points to his championship rival. 13 points, that's another matter. He's got some work to do to
Ferrari's still
maintain
leading.
that gap he's got out in front of the table.
Verstappen was close going into Barretto corner as it's now
lots of laps left.
And very close indeed. He'll get the rear wing open. He's got a chance on the brakes down into the first chicane.
It's only worth about 10 kilometers
Norris still leading there. Norris still. Oh, here comes the Red Bull. Verstappen takes the lead again. Norris had a lock up there. What else had a lock up? Leclerc had another lock up.
So here on lap 4, Max Verstappen, who had to give a place back at the start to Lando Norris, now gets it back and takes the lead and charges onwards towards the corner.
And that's, if you saw our DRS feature early on, that's what it's all about.
They're switching over between McLaren and
now you will have
Red
seen
Bull.
Charles Leclerc cut across where Max Verstappen cut across. But because he's then backed himself up, and
I know you have the game, you have the Formula 1 game. He plays the Formula 1 game.
So I mentioned Hamilton had got ahead of Sonoda.
He needs to give that back. He went to defend and went home. Yeah, we saw.
Oscar sees it in a different way.
And we're on board with Oscar now towards the Ascari chicane. I said that
Red Bull is taking the lead. Sorry.
And the race controllers noted potentially Lewis Hamilton for leaving the track and gaining an advantage that hasn't gone to the stewards yet. We've got the speedometer on Oscar Piastri here as towards 200 miles an hour on that back straight we go, and then hurtle into the parabolica and scrubbing off round about 70 miles an hour when they make their entry.
Yeah, at peak lateral loads there, you could see Piastri having to just correct the car in the turbulent air. Will he have a run down the inside of the Ferrari this time?
Too many lockups.
Only about 7 kilometers
Too many
an hour of
lockups.
DRS advantage
Look
for
at the
McLaren.
space between
To get alongside the Ferrari
between Norris and Leclerc.
There is Lewis Hamilton on Fernando Alonso. Really neat
Lewis
from him.
up to
And
7.
he's up into 7th place after starting 10th in this race.
This is really bringing Lewis Hamilton back into play.
Red
in this
Bull are
Grand
leading
Prix,
still.
and they were right not to try something different for the sake of it. Here's the start. Everybody got away pretty well, and you can see Norris up front on the right-hand side got away especially well. Gets a little shove onto the grass, but that's just because they ran out of tarmac there, to be honest. And this
Red
is
Bull
where
very fast.
Verstappen effectively couldn't make the corner, maintained the lead. Others went through there as well, Tsunoda too. So as has been noted, and that is why I think quite rightly Red Bull said give that place back.
Yeah, so Max Verstappen having to give the place back. This is the battle that continued on towards that second chicane. I think Bortoletto also went into the runoff area in the Sauber at the start. We can see what everything looked like from behind the Red Bull now. The rear wing of Max Verstappen's pole-sitting car. That's Lando Norris alongside him. Oscar Piastri looking to find a way through.
Ooh, look at that start. Look at that start.
Yeah.
So Max sees it that Lando
has mega
his
speed.
momentum onto the gravel.
Well, Lando and Piastri then with an even better chance on the Ferrari this time if he's laid on the brakes.
Well, this is going to be tight. This is going to be
Yeah.
really tight.
Another one.
Piastri is late enough on the brakes to squeeze his way through and up into third.
Yeah,
Super smart
just
from
Piastri just gone past Leclerc
loads of
again.
space for the
Finally,
Ferrari
he's done it.
on the inside, so they didn't get spun around. Really,
Another
his
switcheroo.
two moves so far on Leclerc and vice versa actually for Leclerc
McLaren.
have been top draw to say the least. But yeah, but the Ferrari fundamentally straight in fast in a straight line.
McLaren
But
is second
if they've not got track position,
So far, yeah.
then it's going to hurt them. That
need to
helps
be in the
Piastri's
top 24.
championship position nicely and track position very nicely indeed.
Certainly does. Who says you can't overtake at Monza? Who says it's impossible to overtake at the Temple of Speed? We've seen so many moves in these opening 6 laps here, and out in front, Max Verstappen by just over 1.5 seconds at the end of lap 5 from Lando Norris. That gap now 1.8
Lewis
seconds.
has got the momentum at the minute.
So
Come on,
Lando
McLaren.
Norris didn't
Come
get pushed
on.
on the grass. Basically, it went from 3 lanes to 2.
Daddy, that.
Tarmac turned into grass.
Yeah.
And Lando Norris is
I love
entirely
Ferrari,
entitled to carry speed into the first corner. He made the corner. He made
is
the
carrying the
apex. He
momentum
didn't
at the
run into
minute.
anything. So
Can't
I
let
don't think
7.
either driver
It's not far
had a
off.
proper beat there.
Next is Bortoletto for
Lap
him.
7
Like
of
when he
53 here.
And that
Has the
McLaren,
Ferrari got the speed
like,
to come back?
he's
And
gonna get
Oscar
my-
Piastri
he's
again.
gonna
I'll tell you
get
what,
his
the other
speed
Ferrari
like
of
me.
Lewis Hamilton's got some speed on Gabriel Bortoletto.
That
That's another
car
move from
has
Lewis
some
Hamilton.
speed like
P6.
And he's now up into
Reece
6th place.
has gone up
His
to
former
P6.
teammate
Ferrari's
is
gone
the
up to
one
6th.
ahead in that Sonoda and Hamilton incident. No
How
further
is Ferrari
investigation.
losing?
Next is
by the
Russell.
stewards.
How is
So both
Ferrari
drivers
losing?
clean to race.
And Verstappen then immediately into a 2-second lead, pulls himself out of the
I
DRS
didn't see
detection
that
zone
coming.
and gives him a nice, comfortable breather up front.
I didn't see that
Also
coming,
gives,
Dad.
Norris a little
I
bit of
didn't
fresh
see
air
it
for his
move.
car and his
That's
tyres.
Luis for you,
Certainly
mate.
does, and I think cooling down the tyres in these early stages with a full load of fuel on board these cars might be the order of the day, and then we'll see if the drivers can keep enough performance in those tyres to make some gains, make some moves towards the end of a stint in what is meant to be a one-stop race. Leclerc still in DRS range of Oscar Piastri,
Because Red Bull
but
are
not
fast.
by much.
Lewis
They're
Hamilton's
just
got
too
a good
fast.
race car underneath him.
If
He's
McLaren,
now just got one.
guys, make
what's he got,
McLaren
one
go
car,
fast.
two cars between him and
said
Leclerc.
you made
and he's
McLaren
moving
go
forward
fast.
McLaren
nicely.
is fast. It's also fast, but you
Behind
know,
him,
sometimes the
also
other cars are fast.
Alonso, and Fernando Alonso, by the way, and his teammate Lance Stroll will be
like a
investigated
Lamborghini.
after this
That's
race
not
for their
Lamborghini on this
practice
one.
starts
That
that they
Lamborghinis
did
are fast.
before the laps towards the grid. There is a box on the right-hand side you are meant to start from, and it could be that the Aston Martins weren't starting from there. So that will be investigated after the race, and we'll keep you posted as to what happens.
And Leclerc was showing just inside DRS. You can see at the top of your screen, now it's popped out, but he didn't have it open down the pit straight, so at the critical detection point. So he's now starting to come under pressure from George Russell. Is Charles Leclerc as Piastri just starts to edge down the road.
Stewards are looking at Ocon and Stroll for forcing another driver off the track. That is being investigated.
Yeah.
Ocon up into 14th from 15th on the grid. And Lance Stroll down in 16th currently. Liam Lawson on the soft tyres has made up places to 15th. Hadjar and Gasly, who started from the pit lane, still right by the back. And George Russell, who started 5th in the last 2 races, still running in the top 5 currently, and gaining on Charles Leclerc as we watch now Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls. Making a move on Franco Colapinto, but then realising, as you were saying, Martin, it goes from 3 lanes into 2, and there was no room to get past. Tate Kravitz was saying just how tight it was down there when he was in the Valhalla, riding with Fernando Alonso on Thursday for the dream
Russell
ride
is
of his
right
life.
on
Now,
Leclerc's
the
tail.
Valhalla was quick. Down the
What
main
happened to
straight,
Leclerc
but
right
how
now? I
quick
don't know
is the
what's going on with
Mercedes
his car.
with George
I think Russell is just going to get him. He's going to get him. Switch on the DRS. We've got the DRS on.
George Russell has, and it's not enough to get him alongside into that braking zone.
Yeah, they're only 2 or 3 miles an hour faster, the Ferraris, than the rest of the pack. They've trimmed their wing level and drag level down a bit, but it showed up there, didn't it? I'd imagine George getting a lot closer than that than he actually was able to do so.
Meanwhile, Kimi Antonelli gaining on Yuki Tsunoda in the DRS range 2. There's a bit of a DRS train behind him as he accelerates Berman and sights Albon and Ocon and Lawson with him and along the way. And talking of Esteban Ocon, he's got a 5-second penalty for forcing another driver off the track. So when he comes in for his pit stop, he'll remain motionless for 5 seconds before they do any work on his car, and he'll have to serve that.
That's going to hurt him around here. And so if you're wondering why McLaren is not dominant like it has been in recent times, their car works particularly well in 200 km/h, 140 mile/h corners, and there aren't any around here. Basically, this is all about straight line speed, and this is about efficiency and downforce, while efficiency and downforce in the low downforce settings were trimmed out, as it were, and the McLaren does not excel in the same way in those conditions.
Here's George Russell making another bid.
There comes Russell again.
He's a bit closer to
The
Charles
DRS
Leclerc
is
on
a
this
lot more
occasion,
closer.
but once more, he could do with a few more car lengths, a few less car lengths between himself and the Ferrari to try and get alongside starting the top 5 in each of the last 3 Italian Grand Prix. And George Russell trying to get back on the podium here, where he last stood in 2022.
So Mercedes has got a little bit more downforce on it, but remember how good George Russell was in qualifying on the medium compound tyre, such that he wanted them for the final part of qualifying as well, and didn't get them. But so I think Russell's got a really nice setup there, especially for this phase of the race.
Now, why you're asking is Esteban Ocon got a penalty. So into the second chicane we go, and there's Lance Stroll on the grass, and that is why. Not enough space was left for two cars to remain on the asphalt, and Esteban Ocon picks up the penalty for that. And Verstappen's lead now over 3 seconds. The gap to him and Lando Norris, and then there's a further gap of about 4 seconds, just over, back to Oscar Piastri. Then comes Charles Leclerc, 2 seconds behind him, and George Russell, who is on the charge once more. Lewis Hamilton trying to gain on George Russell. Last lap was about 2 tenths faster than his former teammate. Then comes
Lewis is catching up
Alonso,
on
Tsunoda,
Russell. That's the game they play right now.
Point scoring position.
Sort of feels a bit like the old days, where Verstappen was walking away at the front with a lot of comfortable speed. But George Russell right now is probably ruining the extra bit of downforce he's carrying on the Mercedes.
And was it 6-7 laps in the last 6 Grand Prix before today? Max Verstappen had led. He's more than having to concede that lead after the shenanigans at the first corner, and then pitching it back again with a very neat move. Piastri, who was battling away with Charles Leclerc in the early stages, now seems to have cleared the Ferrari and is running that kind of lonely-ish race in third currently, and his teammate up in second, scoring, as it stands, three more points than him. So the top 3 on the grid are running 1, 2, 3 as it stands. In fact, the top 5 are running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can head down to the pit lane and test.
So just looking down to the McLaren pit wall, they're kind of looking at Max Verstappen's lap times. Every lap
Ferrari
quicker than Lando Norris. So Max building the gap, and there's nothing really McLaren can respond with. They're telling Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, we think plan A, so they're just sticking with the first choice of what they're going to do on the stops, probably stretch it to 22, maybe try and undercut, but with a 3-second gap and building for Verstappen, Verstappen's got all that covered, hasn't he, Crofton?
He certainly has. It was a McLaren 2-3 here last year, if you remember. Oscar Piastri ahead of Lando Norris. It was the second time in 2024 that both McLarens have been on the podium at that stage. So far, 11 times this year in 2025.
Another advantage McLaren have had this season is they look after their tyres a lot better. But this tarmac, this new surface has matured quite a bit. It's not ripping the tyre. They're not graining up. The Pirelli have changed and improved the tyres as well. So it's not about degradation. The tyres are not falling apart. So that advantage of McLaren has been taken away too.
We got 19 cars running in this race. Nico Hülkenberg sadly having to retire before the start. Jonathan Wheatley, his team boss, is on the pit wall for us. Jonathan, what was the issue?
Lewis is up to 6th.
Yeah, it's always sad to have to retire a car at any point in the race. We had a hydraulic issue. We don't quite understand it yet, but with a new power unit, it was probably the best thing to do.
When did that show itself, Jonathan?
Actually, the final fire up on the grid, Martin. So you probably saw a bit of activity around the car around the 7-minute mark. Yeah, we did what we could on the grid, but these cars are incredibly complicated. Most of these systems are buried deep inside them, so unfortunately, yeah, Nico's race had to be ended.
Gabriel Bortoleto running in the top 7. What's his race pace looking like, and are you happy with it?
Yeah, we're having all the right conversations about managing tyres, just settling down. Obviously, Lawson pulled the pin, so we're expecting a few other cars to start boxing soon. Yeah, it's going to be a long afternoon.
Certainly is, but hopefully a productive one. Thanks ever so much, Jonathan. The rookie drivers being headed by Gabriel Bortoleto on the track currently. And we mentioned Liam Lawson there. He did pit to get rid of those soft tyres. They lasted precisely 10 laps. And that was that for the soft tyre. So that'll give you an indication as to whether anyone's going to use the soft tyres a little bit later on.
I think they'll only use those if there's a late-ish safety car, won't they? Because they want some grip on the restart. It's a medium and hard compound. We probably should have been a step softer here, shouldn't we, to force a 2-stopper. Hopefully they'll change that for next year.
Well, Lewis Hamilton was saying that. We've got the C6 now, so let's use it. Pirelli in... as they celebrate 500 Grand Prix, which came in at Zandvoort last weekend. Maybe a bit concerned about the top speeds here at Monza, but these tyres look fairly durable. I'm sure the C6 would be as well.
looking at the Bortoleto 7/10 ahead of Alonso. Alonso's in his Bortoletto's management team. They're best friends. I joked on the grid with Bortoleto because I was walking down to go to the grid, and two crazy blokes came along on scooters trying to run each other into the Ferrari motorhome. It was Bortoleto and Alonso larking around. And yeah, but there's the dynamic. You've got your manager. You've probably hero worshipped him all through your childhood. You've got your manager behind you. I love the dynamics of that.
It's fabulous. Great relationship there. Bortoleto's relationship with Verstappen as well, where they race against each other in the sim world. I think they were also playing Call of Duty earlier this week together online too. There's a few places between them on the track, and around about 18.5 seconds currently. But let's see how that pans out for the rest of the race. Ted, down to you.
Well, Martin, was Bortoleto also saying all aboard and doing a choo-choo, because he is very much heading the DRS train. And just looking into the Mercedes garage, they're thinking about whether they can do anything with Kimi Antonelli. Got a bad start, dropped 4 places. Now P10 with Tsunoda as well, and Fernando Alonso for that point, and Behrman and Sainz and Albon behind the Bortoleto DRS train. And I think Mercedes are going to think maybe of an early stop for Antonelli, see what they can do about that.
I'm quite impressed as well as to how George Russell is still managing to run as close to Charles Leclerc. I mean, he's dropping back a little bit, but he's been behind that Ferrari now for many, many laps. So the temperatures on the tyres, as he just moves to one side to get a bit of cooler air going through that Mercedes, the temperatures will soon start to go through the roof.
Just imagine Ted handing out tickets for the DRS train in the paddock.
He'd love that. Yeah. He'd be like an old inspector, you know, that they used to punch your tickets and punch a hole in it. With his little peaked cap as well. Oh, I can see that myself.
Come to a notebook near you soon.
Out in front, Martin, who we can't see at the moment is Max Verstappen, which is a shame, really, because he is absolutely dominating this race and controlling it well. And the gap now over 4 seconds to Lando Norris.
He's pretty consistently 3 to 4 tenths faster than Norris. Norris has just done the fastest middle sector of the entire Grand Prix. Of course, they're starting now to use up a little bit of their fuel, and with this low deg, as we like to impress ourselves with, degradation of the tyres, often using up fuel makes you go faster than the time you lose as your tyres go off. So that's always been the case here in Monza. If I remember back to the days where sometimes we do 50, 60 laps, approaching 50 laps. Sometimes pitting on the last lap, actually, isn't it?
I'm
go as
using
far as you could on one set of tyres because you don't really hurt
upstairs.
them in the straights.
This is good. Nice and clean.
Stay in contention. Hard tyres to come between laps 25 and 30 maybe, but we'll see if anyone does pull the pin and start to pit from further behind. The trouble with trying to make an undercut work, pitting ahead of the driver in front and hoping that on fresh tyres you've got the pace to get past them when they finally make a pit stop, is that when you go from the medium onto the hard tyre here, the hard tyre takes a little bit longer to warm up and you can't just go and push straight away.
Lando Norris saying, my front left is the limiting factor for going faster. It's a clockwise circuit and most of the key corners are right-handers. So that is why your front left gets a little bit of stress. What I think is going to be very interesting is when they go on to the hard compound tyres, just over half distance probably, or around half distance, as to whether that moves the dynamics of this Grand Prix, whether it changes who's got the advantage.
Which it often can do. Verstappen sets a new fastest lap of this race. Lando Norris crosses the line, 4.3 seconds behind him. George Russell has now just detached himself from that magic 1 second. He's not in DRS range of Charles Leclerc, and I wonder if that then helps Lewis Hamilton a little bit. Lap previous to this, lap 15, he was 3 tenths quicker than Russell. Now he's a tenth quicker than Russell. Does that help Lewis Hamilton, I wonder, just to close that gap a little bit faster now that Russell's not getting the DRS benefit behind Charles Leclerc? We'll see. Karun at Sky Race Control.
Good afternoon, Crofty. Just listening in to some of the radio here, Verstappen is completely in control. All the feedback he's giving is car's good, pace is good, tyres are good, so he's checked out.
Red
4.5
Bull,
seconds.
Red Bull,
Deja Vu
Red Bull
2023.
race.
Just looking at what
race.
Russell can
They're gonna win
do.
it.
So we think that the undercar
Unless
here
something happens.
is not as powerful as in Holland or in Hungary before that. He needs to be within about a second. Now there's a gap as Leclerc has gone a little bit into the gravel at the second Lesmo. There's a gap. It's about 25 seconds for pit stop. There's a small gap right at the back of the field between Lawson and
Russell
Gasly,
cannot see
where Russell
Hamilton
can
in his
slot
railway.
into. But
can
then
see
he'll
him
quickly
coming.
get caught with people.
You can
The
see him
problem for
coming.
any of the top runners is that the
So
field
Leclerc
is still
played a
quite
perfect
tightly
game here. He
bunched,
backed him,
and you
backed
can't
him, backed
pit
him,
too
backed him
early
up to
or you get
Hamilton.
stuck in traffic.
And you
No,
don't want to get
Russell
stuck,
can't do
Martin,
anything.
behind the likes of Alex Albon, for instance, on the hard tyre, leading a gaggle of cars on the hard tyre behind him, who are going to go that little bit longer.
Absolutely. So they're watching that a long way behind them. Message from Christian Horner here actually saying this was our worst race last year with the wrong downforce level and how hard the team have worked on that package and done a great job because they've turned it around.
38 seconds, I think Max Verstappen finished behind the race leader and race winner Charles Leclerc. Is down the inside, goes Kimi Antonelli on Yuki Tsunoda. And he's got one place back at the 4 that he lost at the start there. Neat little move there from the man from Bologna. He moves up into 9th.
It looks like Carlos Sainz has been down running through the runoff area without going around the necessary bollard and following the yellow lines. He's been reported for failing to follow race director's instructions on the runoff zone.
Yeah, there's a specific line you have to take, and even if you can't get to the right of the yellow line at the start of that particular corner, you still need to come on later into the runoff area. Let's see what happened. Lock up there, and he's going to come on before the yellow line. You can see it just on the right-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, that'll take some defending, Carlos. Take a lot of defending, unfortunately. And there's a reason for it. It's so that the cars feed back in a control way at a controlled angle. Lando there playing a risky game because that can damage the underneath of the car as well. Brings gravel onto the track.
Yeah.
The gravel can damage the aero parts underneath. It can pepper those as well. That's for all the cars, of course, who go through it.
Ollie Behrman's coming into the pits to try the undercut from 11th. It was mentioned to us by Ferrari, actually. Just watch out for the gravel. If enough of it comes onto the circuit, that might necessitate a virtual safety car or a safety car for the marshals to come and sweep it. So Behrman comes in to the pits, and he should, I would imagine, get out ahead of Liam Lawson. They've decided down at Haas that that's the gap that they're trying to put him into, but that's not quite happened. Lawson's actually gone through. You do lose a lot of time here, 25 seconds in your pit stop because of the speeds that the cars are doing down the straight while you're stuck and controlled at 80 kilometers an hour.
Max just walking it in this
gravel
phase.
Now.
Look at the gravel.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's a solid Max. Keep building the advantage. We know how things can change, so keep eking out that advantage distance.
Yeah, solid, I think, is the understatement from GP Giampiero Lambiase, who likes to play things down at the best of times. It is a masterclass from Max currently.
Well, what could change is they go into the hard compound tyres and also a safety car, something like that, or a virtual safety car. So, and also this kind of lead he's got now.
They're going to make a pit stop at Red Bull, and it might be a last-minute call, this, for Yuki Tsunoda, and they dropped the tyres as they were trying to get them out of the racks. No harm done. They'll be ready for him when he comes in. So Behrman's pit stop has now triggered Yuki Tsunoda's as well. Alonso getting closer to Gabriel Bortoleto and locking up in the process.
Yeah, an avalanche of Pirellis there all of a sudden, but I was saying out front, Verstappen with that kind of, with a 5.6 second lead, they can wait. They can afford to come in the following lap of Norris and Piastri. It buys them time and a comfort zone. That's what, as we've seen doing so many times, haven't we, over the last years.
So this is why Red Bull brought Yuki Tsunoda in and why they responded straight away.
Oh, come on. Come on, stream. Come on, don't do this to me. The stream is lagging. Oh. Come on.
Better stop from the Aston Martin crew, as here comes the Racing Bulls, just to compound Bortoletto's misery, getting in between this particular fight.
So the tyres come out of the blankets at a maximum of 70 degrees C. They need to be around 100. That's why you take a little bit of time these days to a few corners to bring them up to where you need them, which is why we saw Behrman slicing past Tsunoda as well.
Yeah, now Lawson pitted 11 laps ago to put his hard compound tyres on, and he's now got himself right in the thick of what was a battle for 7th and 8th place. So into the pit lane we go, and Fernando Alonso really aggressively attacking that.
The wise old head. He took 10, 15 metres out of him, didn't he?
Yeah.
By being less cautious, as long as he didn't break the speed limit there. So that put him in play, and that made the difference. Honestly, it made the difference that they had to hold Bortoletto there. So Bortoletto might have slammed Alonso into the Ferrari motorhome on a scooter, but he's just had a bit of payback.
Certainly has, and this is Max Verstappen, and to remind you, he is our race leader. Look, the gravel's gone off the racing line. That's good. That's what we want to see there. Verstappen nearly 6 seconds clear of Lando Norris. What a dream feeling this must be for Max Verstappen, who, of course, hasn't stood on top of the podium this season since Imola. That's a win there, and of course in
Lando,
Japan,
Lando
Suzuka,
Norris,
where he
what is
won
wrong
from
with
pole.
this guy?
As you were looking at that data, Crofty, Max was in the neck of that Red Bull through the Ascari.
He's got a fastest car, but
he's pushing
shit,
like
mate.
crazy.
He's not doing nothing.
Ted, what can you tell us?
Got to give some credit to the Aston Martin mechanics as well as that, Martin and Crofty. They did their bit. They were giving it a go. By following Bortoletto in, they knew that it was a fight between the mechanics and the Aston Martin. It wasn't a 2-second stop, wasn't a 1.9. It was actually more like a mid-2 to high 2-second. But they did it, and lots of fist bumping, and congratulations amongst them. They made it happen as much as the Sauber mechanics having to delay Bortoletto getting out of that pit box.
That is Bortoletto, Lawson, and behind him Ollie Behrman. Behind Ollie Behrman in this race currently is Yuki Tsunoda, and he is the last of the 19 runners still going. Karun, to you.
Yeah, just a line on Liam Lawson, Crofty, is in the middle of that. Obviously, he's the only car that started on the soft tyre. So Bortoletto overtaking him, that is for a net position when they all finish their pit stops. This group of cars we're looking at, they're the first of the cars who have pitted, and Alonso and Bortoletto should cycle back into the points. So for Ollie Behrman, he needs to try and get past Lawson here. His tyres are 9 laps fresher.
Thanks ever so much indeed, Karun. At Sky Race Control, we're on lap 23 of 53 here at Monza. Ollie Behrman getting very close to Liam Lawson, under-braking into the chicane. Desperate, I'm sure, to try and get past. I mentioned Ollie Behrman's credentials here at Monza. Liam Lawson, no slouch around this track. He was on pole in F3 in 2020. He was in the front row in 2022, and he got his first F3 sprint podium here in 2019 as well. Through to the Lesmo corners they come. The two right-handers, the second Lesmo, and a tricky exit, it must be said. Right, Gabriel Bortoletto on board with him. Down towards that first chicane. Lock-up from the Racing Bull. That's just piqued his attention a touch. Just, you can hear the wheel spin as they get their foot flat to the floor, and not spinning quite so much Bortoletto. Good momentum from him, and he manages to get past the Racing Bulls.
Yeah, his front wing must have been perilously close to as Antonelli takes to the runoff area after a lock-up. As soon as your wheels stop rotating, you've halved the grip. You cannot slow down. And you're damned if you do brake harder and damned if you don't.
Yeah, correct.
You just can't make the corner.
Max Verstappen has had to put in an overtake to retake the lead of this Italian Grand Prix. We had all the hustle and bustle and kerfuffles from the opening few laps, but it's settled down now out in front. 6.3 seconds, the gap between Verstappen and Norris. Watching the gap between Russell and Hamilton continue to close down by 0.2 on the previous lap, another 0.2 on this lap. Lewis taking his time to get a bit closer to George Russell, but he's got that gap down from about 2.7 seconds in the last few laps as we cross and go on board to Alex Albon, running in the top 9 on the hard compound tyre, behind his teammate Carlos Sainz, who is under investigation, or who's been noted, I should say.
Turn 4, the racing line, short from this lap, please.
I think there's more to win by him, guys. I don't agree, please.
So, what's that instruction all about?
To turn 4, keep the racing line.
So not this one.
Yeah,
oh, Fernando Alonso.
Is that a right rear puncture? It looks a bit...
It does look to be a bit low down on that right rear. Meanwhile, here comes Alex Albon, as I say, on the hard tyre compared to Sainz on the medium tyre. And I wonder if this is Alex Albon being instructed by the team that they're going to swap places here. Carlos Sainz maybe not overly happy about it.
Now, Sainz being told, do not defend into what was there, turn 4. Keep to the racing line. Do not defend against Albon, is what they were telling him, which is pretty much the same thing as you're saying, Crofty.
Thank you. That does look like a puncture, doesn't it, for Fernando Alonso? Just look at the balance of the car as he comes in.
Suspension failure?
Possibly.
What is it going on there?
Suspension failure. This is unbelievable, man.
Oh, that is so disappointing. Ted Kravitz, he came into this weekend not expecting much, and he was having a really good race battle that he was winning with Gabriel Bortoleto.
Yeah, it's the front right. It's the front right. The mechanics are pointing at it. Fernando's so disappointed. And wow, you can go from elation for winning that position to Bortoleto to complete despair. Alonso can't wait to get out of the, well, that's possibly, yeah, that's, well, definitely it happening. Yeah. But yeah, Alonso lifting the headrest out himself because he's just so annoyed. He can't wait to get out of the car.
It was quite,
that is gutting. Sorry,
Ted, he was quite high up on the exit curve of Ascari, and the shock loading, the frequency, it just broke the suspension.
Fernando's scored in 6 of the last 7 Grand Prix.
Fernando gone, so he's 2 DNF.
That's a second retirement here at Monza in the last
second
5 years. Carlos Sainz is now under investigation for failing to follow what the race director said in his race notes, i.e. go off the track, you've got to come on at a certain point, and he didn't do that at the second chicane. So we'll see if there's a penalty coming Carlos Sainz's way, and his teammate has scampered past him and already broken DRS. Sainz currently scoring a couple of points. Ollie Behrman down in 16th, his nearest rival in the championship, but Behrman has already pitted, Sainz hasn't.
And Ocon's still carrying a 5-second penalty there, isn't he? He hasn't served yet in 10th.
That's absolutely right. So he's got a penalty to serve. Sainz is under investigation, and nobody's really investigating Max Verstappen much in this race because he is so far out in front. And Lando Norris was
considering plan A plus 15. Do you think that's possible?
I think so. Yes.
Wow. So can you go 15 laps longer on your first stint, please?
So let me explain why that's happening. Those that have come in and put brand new hard compound tyres on are not going particularly well. It looks like sticking with a medium tyre and doing a very, very long stint. From the information they can gather from those at the back that have pitted, and that's why they're going to all extend and hang on to the used mediums. They seem a better tyre.
Right, interesting. That can have a bearing on how quick this race is run. And I don't know if you've got your stopwatches handy at home, and if you've had your stopwatches on from the start, but we passed half race distance in 36 minutes.
Oh, my fronts are dead in traffic.
And that's crucial, because we're on pace to break the record here for the fastest race in Formula One history. Michael Schumacher winning here in 2003. He did it in 1 hour 14 minutes, 19.838. Seconds. 21 seconds slower when he won. At this pace, then we could, as George Russell pits, have the fastest ever Formula One Grand Prix in World Championship history. So we'll see what happens there as George Russell comes in to make his pit stop. Hard tyres going on. Not sure that was the quickest stop we've seen from Mercedes. Yeah, 2.9 seconds. So he lost about 7/10 of a second while he was stationary, and he's going to come out now behind the Racing Bulls, isn't he, of of Isaac Hadja. Hadja running down in 11th.
So what?
So Karun Chandok, let's head to you, Sky Race Control.
Thanks, Coffee. Just reflecting on that message there to Oscar Piastri. This morning, Andrea Stella made a comment that the soft tyre is holding up quite well and could be an option in the race.
What are your thoughts about continuing until we can put a soft?
Yeah, I mean, we may as well continue for now. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Crofty. Andrea Stella told me this morning the soft is a raceable tyre, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Extend the medium and put the soft on at the end.
As Liam Lawson goes battling with Yuki Tsunoda, and there's contact between the two cars once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and it all ends up getting very scrappy as he moves past. Second race in a row that Liam Lawson's made contact with another car. I rather get the feeling that's going to be looked at. Meanwhile, there's a reprimand for Carlos Sainz for rejoining the track where he shouldn't have done. Yuki Tsunoda's now got that place back, I assume. Alan Permain, the team principal down at Racing Bulls, said, you know, Liam, I think you might need to give that back yourself before the stewards make us. Antonelli is now pitting for Mercedes.
That's an interesting a reprimand. So towards the end of the race, it might be worth just banzaiing through that zone, runoff zone, gaining 2 or 3 seconds. That's a lasting advantage, of course, and have a reprimand for it.
Right, is Kimi Antonelli coming out ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto? Yes, he is. That's why Mercedes had to pit maybe 1 lap longer, then it would have been an awful lot tighter as he came back out again. And important for their race, that Antonelli is ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto. So that's the overcut working really well there for the Mercedes.
And the 4-second stop for Bortoleto as well, hasn't it? Sort of put him on the back foot, bit of weaving from Antonelli to generate some temperature. Look at that, that's blistering. That's blistering on the right front of Max Verstappen's car. That's a big problem. Graining's one thing, you lose grip, but that is blistering. And Pirelli will be nervous about that because you can, and so will Red Bull, because you can get, because it sort of it comes from the core of the tyre. You can have tyre issues with blistering. I'm talking about the integrity of the tyre now.
So, a black and white flag for track limits for Kimi Antonelli, who goes over the white lines one more time and will get a 5-second penalty. Max Verstappen's got blistering on his tyres. Lando Norris is 6 seconds back. Oscar Piastri 6 seconds back on him. And George Russell is now the fastest man on track on a new set of hard tyres. Karun at race control.
Look, after just looking at the pace, though, George's time, as you said, new fastest lap, but only 3/10 quicker than what the McLarens have done, and 4/10 quicker than Verstappen. So, you know, and they have got buffer. Despite the blistering, the performance still seems okay in those tyres for the leaders.
It certainly does. On this lap, though, Lando Norris is already about 3/10 faster than Max Verstappen, who, as I say that, goes and puts in the quickest final sector of a 27.1 and was just over a 10th faster than Lando Norris. But Norris on that lap, about just under 3/10 quicker. Is that performance starting to just degrade a little bit on Verstappen's Red Bull?
So it's the right front, wasn't it, of Verstappen that was blistering, because that gets dragged around corners. Not the loaded tyre in these like Parabolica, but it gets dragged, and they ran 3 degrees of front camber as well, but it's surprising to see that pattern of blistering these days.
Gasly, Gasly, Colapinto, you saw 12th and 13th in the distance. They're going to move up a bit now, as are those behind, because Carlos Sainz has come in to get rid of his medium compound tyre and to make a pit stop. He has to sit wait now as he stops just a little bit long of his marks before he can get those new tyres on. 3 seconds to stop, back out into the race.
Everything's incredibly hot when you come in, the axles, the tyres, the wheel nut. But by this stage of the season, normally those pit stops are pretty crisp all the way down the pit lane. We've seen a few lumpy ones today.
In defence of the Williams crew there, I think Carlos had just gone a fraction long from his marks, where the team would ideally love him to stop. And when you do that, those mechanics that are trained to put the wheel gun on almost before the car stops moving just have to reach that little bit more, and it can cause a few tenths of a second loss. That'll lose you time as well, locking up, going into the first chicane, Franco Colapinto.
Unusual to look the outside tyre going down into there.
Yeah, Colapinto hasn't stopped yet, neither is his teammate Pierre Gasly, and Gasly ahead of Colapinto, as you can see. Ted, down to you.
It's a proper good old-fashioned standoff down here, Crotty, between Red Bull and McLaren. Neither of them want to stop first. McLaren's starting to think, well, you, Max Verstappen, with your no downforce, hurting your tyres, let's see how long you can go for. And that is I sense a bit of worry at Red Bull. They know that they don't want to push it, maybe they can't push it quite as hard on the tyres as McLaren. And I just go back, Martin, to what Laurent McKee said to you on the grid. What were his words about Max pushed us into an unusual setup direction? Those were his actual words. I wrote them down. And with that T-tray rear wing, are the tyres starting just to fade a bit? Max has been on the radio saying the tyres are starting to die a little bit. But I'm just wondering whether McLaren is thinking, that's fine. With a bit more downforce, our tyres are just peachy.
So let's explain why it's a long pit stop. It's not an unduly long pit lane, but while you're in the pit lane, everybody's going down the pit straight at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You lose so much time. That's what drives it to be a one-stopper to an extent, but also why you need a very big gap here. You need a 25-second gap to make a pit stop here, whereas traditionally it's more 20-21, isn't it?
Just watching George Russell while you were giving us that explanation, Martin, and Russell, who's pitted just 4 laps ago and is going very nicely indeed, as one of the fastest, if not the fastest driver on the track. But soon he is going to come up behind, well, not Isaac Hadjar, because he's come into the pits, but the hard tyre runners of Stroll and Ocon and Albon. And that might just hold him up a touch. Ferrari, I think, are hoping that that's going to be the case, because then they might get a nice little gap to start thinking about a pit stop with Lewis Hamilton and with Charles Leclerc. We'll keep an eye on that. But Ferrari telling Charles Leclerc that these laps are good. Don't worry too much about George Russell. He's going to start getting held up in the next few laps.
That's all being furiously calculated, of course, on the pit wall, in the garage and back at the team bases.
Yeah.
Probably 40-50 people working on that strategy, philosophy.
But are Ferrari going to pit Charles Leclerc right now? The answer is yes, as they run out into the sunshine, and Charles Leclerc makes the right-hand dart into this pit lane. Was he too fast, I wonder, going into the pit lane?
All locked up as he went across the line. That'll be a nervy moment. They find out what his speed was.
Pit stop was good though. Very slick indeed. He barely stopped moving before he had to get going again. And Charles Leclerc comes out now ahead of Alex Albon, not quite, but for him, better that he comes out ahead of Esteban Ocon. Ocon hasn't pitted yet. He's got that 5-second time penalty to serve, but that's a nice little gap to bring him back out, and he can ease his tyres in nice and gently and carry on his way. So whereas George Russell was putting pressure on Charles Leclerc before the round of pit stops and before he had to drop back a bit, there's now a big buffer between the Ferrari and the Mercedes.
Yeah, because Russell's tucked up, isn't he? Yeah. Stroll and Ocon, and it's cost him dearly in terms of track position.
Colapinto with his pit stop, and that is his first, and doesn't surprise me that he came in now after that lock-up we saw a couple of laps ago. Here's George Russell behind Lance Stroll. Were Mercedes expecting Ferrari to cover him off? Do they just try and do something a little bit different with George, because overtaking and straight-line speed wasn't in their favour? This is not going to be in their favour either, and he's already having to move to the left-hand side to get out of the turbulent air of the Aston Martin.
And we know the Mercedes is probably carrying a little bit more drag than most of his tyres are a lot fresher, because Stroll's not pitted yet. But George desperately needs to clear these two cars quickly.
He certainly does. You see Lance Stroll's rear tyre there, and you wouldn't want to run too many more laps on that.
We can discuss it later.
Okay, not going to give you an answer just now, Charles. George Russell trying to get past Lance Stroll with DRS, not as easy as it might have been anticipated when he was right up behind the Aston Martin coming out of the parabolica, and he just got that done.
I wonder if Ferrari were concerned about, again, any kind of durability with the tyre. But we'll find out hopefully after the race. They certainly don't want to tell him to hundreds of millions of people during the race.
No, quite. Here's the lockup. And I hope for his sake and for every single one of the Tifosi here, roaring Charles Leclerc on, that he was not over 80 kilometres an hour when he passed that line. No indication as yet that anything was wrong, and away goes the Ferrari. Does that sound a bit eerie when it's on the slow motion replay? Wheel spin, a few less frames per second, or a few more frames per second. Right, Russell's got another overtake to do, this one on Esteban Ocon.
And Leclerc is flying on those hard compound tyres, so the concept that the tail enders who put them on were struggling a bit. They haven't got the same level of downforce, perhaps, but a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix from Charles Leclerc. And can he get off down the road and get anywhere near the McLarens?
Here comes George Russell. The Haas seems a little easier prey for him, and he's up to 7th place as he gets the overtake made before the first chicane. Leclerc's pace, I'm sure, will attract attention from the McLaren pit wall too.
And Lando, what are your thoughts on the soft tyre?
Yeah, well, I guess the opposite of the car ahead.
Why not? Go aggressive, because they're not going to win the race as it stands currently, and Red Bull seems to have them covered off. But if you were Red Bull, would you take that out of the equation and go onto the soft tyre yourself, I wonder?
Depends if you think you can keep them alive, but I think what Lando's saying there is, well, do different. Find it if they, let's go the opposite way, because at the moment we haven't got the pace to beat them in a straight fight, so let's try something else. It's so weird down there with the storm that took those trees away a few years ago. I'm just so used to this first race here in 1982, but so used to that being in a shroud under a canopy of trees down there. It's really sad that all those trees are gone.
Absolutely. Slightly better for the drivers who don't kind of go light to shade as much, but I'm with you. It spoils the aesthetics of this rather glorious Royal Park on the outskirts of Milan, here in Monza, northern Italy. At this time of the year, what a time of year it is to come and watch your Formula One. And for Carlos Sainz, he's gaining on Ollie Behrman. He's got a reprimand for his troubles down at the second chicane, not a penalty. So can he get an overtake done here and try and move up to 13th? He looks just a little bit too far back on this occasion. The gap out in front now 5 seconds. That was well over 6 seconds a few laps ago between Verstappen and Norris, and Verstappen is coming in to the pits. So what will McLaren do, and how will they react to whatever Red Bull do? For the time being, Norris continues on his way. Oscar Piastri, I think, is going to continue on his way. Verstappen gingerly stops there and puts the hard compound tyre on. So they've decided they're not going to get the softs until the end of this race. We've got to go with the hards, and it's a brand new set of hards that Max Verstappen had. That's why they're all not shiny, and they'll come out into the sunshine in 3rd place ahead of Lewis Hamilton. You can see the Ferrari in the distance, and for the second time this race, Lando Norris now leads.
And Norris got 6.1 seconds advantage over his teammate Piastri, so they've got a comfort zone there as well if they want to try something a little bit different against Verstappen. So this is the decision now as Norris starts to catch Colapinto, but that's to lap him. Do they keep running and try softs at the end, or do they match what Red Bull have done? I guess if they match what Red Bull have done, they'll finish 2nd and 3rd.
I'm going to watch Charles Leclerc just a touch, and to be honest, the medium tyres that the McLarens are running, Charles Leclerc on his new hard tyre was only a 10th or just under a 10th of a second faster on the previous lap. He's not making massive inroads, shall we say, into their advantage. Ted, let's head down to you.
I was watching Verstappen stop. Yeah, good stuff by the Red Bull mechanics. Lots of fists being punched there. There was a nice, tidy stop. The tyres that came off looked about the same as we saw on the pictures earlier. I think it was just plateaued, that blistering, but it was more or less okay.
2 seconds,
looks like Ferrari are coming out now. They're responding.
Deployment issues for Carlos Sainz and losing power, and that's not going to help him try and catch Ollie Behrman. So here's the race leader, gap of 19 seconds to Max Verstappen. Hamilton now pits from 4th place for Ferrari. And let's watch this stop. Medium tyres off, hard tyres on. That's the favoured strategy by the teams here. If he can get out ahead of George Russell, that would be quite the achievement, even with a 2.1 second stop.
2.1 seconds. Is he going to make it? Oh, come on,
but they're powering down the main straight. Goes George Russell, so he's going to come out behind him despite extending that stint. And he's also got Ocon and he's got Stroll in between the two cars.
Came out night.
Yeah, so would you rather be in the closing stages on a used set of softs or a quite used but set of hard comp? The soft won't last all that long. Of course, the fuel load's gone down by then, but that appears to be what McLaren are looking at. So Piastri just took 3/10 out of Norris's lead there.
Here comes Kimi Antonelli round the outside of the Curva Grande. Go on, Kimi, give it some. And he has 10th place. Nice from Kimi Antonelli, and gets the move done on Pierre Gasly, who extended his contract with Alpine this week to take his association with the team through to the end of 2028. Kimi Antonelli still waiting on a contract decision for 2026, and he's up into 10th place and back in the points. Fastest man on the track is Max Verstappen on the hard compound tyre. And he was about 2/10 faster than Lando Norris on the previous lap, about the same time as Oscar Piastri. In fact, about a second faster than Oscar Piastri, and 1.2 seconds faster than Lando Norris.
And when you're inside the car, it looks, because the eye and the human brain are so incredible.
Great job on the stop, guys. Straight as long.
Went a bit long into his stop, into his box there, but so the human eye and brain dials some of this out. Some of it is still actually, your picture you're looking at is quite disturbed when you're driving along on a bumpy piece of track, but not quite as bad as it looks there.
Sainz getting a lot closer to Ollie Behrman. Bortoletto right on the tail of Pierre Gasly, but no positions exchanged in that first chicane. Here comes Carlos Sainz for another stab at it through the Curva Grande. Is he going to go around the outside? No, he's going to try going down the inside here, because Behrman had him covered off to the left-hand side. But now, they tangle. It was the outside line he was trying to take into the second chicane. The two cars come together. They're almost left stricken in the middle of the road for a moment as Isaac Hadjar moves past them. But that was unfortunate, and for the second race running, it's Carlos Sainz getting involved and coming in proper with another car whilst trying to make an overtake. What did you make of that, Martin?
I'd like to see it again. I think Ollie Behrman probably should have got out of that one, but let's see it again and see if Sainz left him, Carlos Sainz left him racing room on the inside.
We shall see. On board with Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll, the car in front of him. Stroll hasn't pitted yet, neither is Ocon, currently in 7th, neither is Albon, who's running in 4th. Neither of the top two, and Hamilton makes that progression very nicely indeed, and he's up into 8th place. He's got some overtaking done today, has Lewis Hamilton, after starting 10th. And here's Gabriel Bortoletto, who had a little look at Pierre Gasly on the previous lap, and second time round makes it stick.
So the slipstream in DRS is good, but if you get a good exit, because you've got much better tyres off Parabolica, that really helps your straight line speed massively, which is why you're seeing them suddenly, now they're on different tyre lives, breezing past.
All right, you get to have a look at this one again. It's been noted by race control. Sainz is ahead,
let me see.
And then gets tagged by Behrman. It's his corner.
So
it was his corner.
I switched mine off it. I think 2 years ago.
But he didn't leave racing room on the inside. I think that I'm going to put that down as a racing incident.
Yeah, he just turned it on in front of me like I wasn't there.
That's a fair comment.
Yeah, which is Ollie Behrman's assessment of the situation. And he does. He turns into the corner, but Behrman has nowhere to go. But Sainz, it looked like he was far enough ahead to claim that the corner's his.
He wasn't, but he wasn't entirely ahead. But he certainly had yes, he got the right. He more than claimed that his front axle was beyond Behrman's front axle.
Max has just set another fastest
He hadn't cleared him, and I think he needed to leave him a bit of space on the inside.
Hamilton gets up into 6th place.
Lewis has gone up to 6th.
Almost to 6th. He's the last one on the previous lap, but as I say, Hamilton on fresh tyres, and the two that he's cleared have yet to. stop in the race. Alex Albon has now stopped, so Hamilton will move up into to 6th place. I'm with you, Martin. It looked racing incident-ish to me. That the trouble for both of them is it's just relegated them down, and the stewards are going to have a look at Carlos Sainz for causing a collision. There is Lando Norris, our race leader. The gap between himself and Oscar Piastri is
Sainz,
4 seconds on his teammate in the last few laps, and the gap to Max Verstappen from Lando Norris is 13.5 seconds, and Verstappen really is closing in at about a second a lap.
Yeah, these soft compound tyres are going to need to be mighty, aren't they?
They just? You lose about 23, 24 seconds in the pit stop. If they were to pit now, the McLaren drivers would need to make up, Ted Kravitz, 10 seconds in their final stint if they're going to overtake Max.
And Max has a safety car pit stop covered as well, because it takes 14 seconds to do a pit stop under a safety car or a virtual safety car. So, yeah, I mean, had that incident between Sainz and Behrman ended up in a safety car, I mean, it would have been very close, but now Verstappen is safe to the McLarens under a safety car stop. So that's all worked out very well.
Good point, Ted. Very good point.
So they might as well bring the McLarens in?
No, I think what Seb was saying, even if McLaren had the benefit of a safety car, Verstappen would still have been leading.
So, well, do you bring them in now then? Because that safety car
looks like it. No,
he's going to stay out again. Because the safety car window is in Verstappen's favour.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming they think the tyres are still okay.
Piastri just took 6/10 out of Norris on that lap, so Norris is not enjoying this phase of his tyre life, and you can see it's wagging its tail under traction. Rear tyres complaining.
Another one, Max is bringing out the fastest lap.
Lando will be thinking, we've got to do something to actually protect second place here.
Yes, which might be what prompts Lando to come in sooner rather than later. Verstappen on the last lap, 1.6 seconds faster than Lando Norris.
And Lando's side of the garage will get first option, but if they choose not to take it, I'm sure Oscar's side of the garage can then take the high ground on the stop.
And Piastri has a big enough gap back to Charles Leclerc, who's currently running in 4th. So it's not like McLaren are going to lose 2 and 3, or P2 and P3, unless something goes wrong in the pit stops, and that's why they've decided to extend these stints and try something a little bit different. They've got nothing to lose. Alex Albon on Kimi Antonelli into the first chicane. Antonelli survives on this particular occasion, but has Albon got better traction coming out that chicane? Well, he did. And then Antonelli moved over, and I don't know if there was contact made or not, but Albon certainly got onto the grass, and now he's having a go into the second chicane. Norris powers his way over the line. Alex Albon, one of his very good 9th place.
Yeah, it's an incredible recovery from the Williams down the next straight, wasn't it, having been on the grass at one point. But, so what's the gap now then? 3.7. So actually Lando's just done a personal best there. Now, if you're new to Formula One, welcome. But the reason they can't just carry on to the end, which you might think, well, you're in the lead, just don't stop at all. They don't need to stop. The tyres, they have to by the regulation. If it's an entirely dry race, you must use 2 different tyre compounds. That is why McLaren are obliged to stop both their cars.
And that looked equally as close from the rear of Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes as it did riding on board with Alex Albon when we first saw it. And on those medium tyres, fresher medium tyres, he manages to get through.
And there's the traction element, and they've got the same donkeys behind them.
Lando, we will box this lap onto the soft tyre and I'll come up 1.
You do want to box the other car first?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll swap it round, so stay out.
Well, only if he doesn't undercut, otherwise I'll box first.
There will be no undercut.
Yeah, and that they can control from the pit wall as they try and keep it fair. And Lando Norris does then carry on his way as Oscar Piastri comes into the pits for what we're assuming is going to be a set of soft compound tyres, and see if they can, well, give the McLaren cars a bit more pace in these closing stages that they haven't had in their battle with Max Verstappen so far.
So I can only assume Lando thinks, but pit the other one first, as long as they're not going to get in front of me. So look at that stop, 1.9 seconds. Yeah. Because he thinks the soft tyre might fade a little bit towards the end or something, because he's giving up a lap of extra grip there. But a very clear thought process going on, and that then, so it's to allow Piastri to defend then against Leclerc, isn't it? is why they've done that. It is why Lando's been very generous on that, and I'm sure the team were talking about it, but that makes sure Piastri stays ahead of Charlie Leclerc.
So Kimi Antonelli's been spotted by race control and noted for forcing another driver off the track as Alex Albon got through. I'm not sure if that will be investigated much by the stewards. And our race leader is going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, which will allow Max Verstappen to take what today has been his rightful place and out in front. Very much his rightful place. He's controlled it superbly well. Ollie Behrman has got a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision.
With Sainz.
Yeah. So the stewards didn't think it was a racing incident. They did think it was Carlos Sainz's corner.
What's going
on
here?
What is going on here? Lando Norris seems to be stationary. Well, he was like 4 more seconds than Oscar Piastri.
Oh, that's going to be difficult.
Well, that's going to be very difficult if Oscar Piastri, by the time he gets to the pit lane exit...
Boxing the cars this way round to ensure you cover Leclerc. You are free with Lando once he's ahead of the pit exit.
Yeah, but he's not ahead at the pit exit. Look at that. Oscar Piastri is ahead of Lando Norris, who was stationary for 4 more seconds in the pit stop. And how did McLaren now swap this one around? And is Oscar, well...
Front left gun we're hearing for Lando's pit stop. And we're about to see that.
Might have gone a little bit long. Yeah, it wasn't tightened up properly. That was the confusion until the mechanic was told, no, come on, you've got to go and get that tightened a bit more. Oh, dear. That must have felt like 40 seconds for Lando Norris.
Have we got Hungary in reverse going on here now about handing places back, or is that just the rub of the green as far as the team are concerned?
Well, so this is now Oscar Piastri to come back to give it back. You can't. It's not his fault. To Lando Norris.
It's not his fault.
Great chat with him, just sitting in the McLaren motorhome.
Lando should just take this one.
Excuse me, in Zandvoort.
His teammate.
When he made it quite clear, Oscar, that as much as he wants to win this World Championship, and as much as he will do everything he can to win this World Championship, he's not going to do anything to go against the team. As he says, in the future, I will need this team, and I will need their help. So what they ask me to do, I will comply with. Hence yesterday, giving Lando Norris the tow to help him in qualifying and to get him through to Q3. But that is one thing, Martin Brundle.
This is...
You've done all of the hard work, so they should bring this home, no risk.
No risk, no push.
So I'll put you under Oscar Piastri's crash helmet back in your racing days here. If they ask you to swap around, what do you do?
I think you should, because Lando would have got...
My stream is gone again, man. Final stint.
1.9 second stop, wouldn't he? But he's played the team game to help Oscar defend against Leclerc, and I think the team will feel extremely guilty about that, allowing that pit stop to happen in reverse positions. And then putting Norris behind Piastri. We'll see what they do.
Well, Lando set a fastest lap of the race, which, by the way, was less than a tenth of a second quicker on that lap than Max Verstappen, who's got an 18.5-second lead. Now Lando is catching, and has been catching on this lap.
But this is a bit like Hungary last year. We pitted in this order for team reasons. Please let Lando pass, then you're free to race.
I mean, we said that a slow pit stop was part of racing, so I don't really get what's changed here. But if we really want to do it, then I'll do it.
Fair play, Oscar Piastri on that one. He said his piece, he made his point, and he did what the team asked him to do.
Yeah, I think that's, honestly, I think that's fair.
He's such a good, he's going to make a good champion, man. Piastri
didn't get the 1.9 second stop, but now they're free to race.
Yeah.
So at least
that is what you call a teammate.
Into position to have a race, which he was about 3 and a bit 3.3, 3.4 seconds behind before the pit stop phase.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a lot closer after the pit stops if he does want to have a race here. And neither of the McLarens are close enough to Max Verstappen, who's been told take no risks and bring this car home, and that's pretty much what he's doing.
So it's the championship.
Thanks, Oscar. You're free to race. Clinical, clear head, mate.
And Oscar Piastri now has DRS on his teammate as well. So within all of that, at least it's put him in position to have a race with Norris, which he didn't have beforehand.
Exactly, and he's got a clear mind and a clear conscience as well, if indeed there was any doubt about that
He's
one.
make such a good champion.
He's not
some drivers will say no.
Max
will say no.
He was going through the detection zone. It was right on the
younger
fringes.
Max will say no.
So he's got that slight advantage with the DRS. And the upshot is here, Oscar Piastri has got getting second.
My streams.
Esteban Ocon, the 18th now and last.
Piastri didn't get DRS on that straight.
Middle sector, Lando Norris was about 0.3 faster. He used a bit of electrical energy there just to boost his way to what I think should be comparative safety from here on in.
There's Max leading the Grand Prix comfortably out of sight, and he's working out who's had a slow stop and what have you.
Oh, someone's been off down there.
Big time.
Yeah. I just wonder, listening to Max Verstappen's comments, I wonder if he'd have complied in that particular moment. And Woody had just said, he had a slow stop, nothing to do with me. It's every point's a prisoner to get out there and do what I can. But
I'm not giving it back.
We're talking about 3 points when Piastri went into the race with a 34-point championship lead.
It wasn't just a slow stop, though. If it was, I agree. If it was just a slow stop, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But it was playing the team game that Lando was doing that, in the end, cost him.
Absolutely. Max Verstappen has started another lap. He's got 2 laps to go in this to become the first driver to win from pole at Monza since 2019. The last 5 pole sitters here have all failed to go and win the race. Pole sitter today, when he got past Lando Norris for the second time, has never looked like conceding victory or anyone getting ahead of him. The battle for second, 1.5 seconds between Norris and Piastri. Charles Leclerc is going to take the checkered flag. 4th for Ferrari. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton completing the top 6 as it stands currently. Esteban Ocon is in the pits, so he will tumble out of the points. Alex Albon, who was 5th in Zandvoort, is on course for a 7th place finish here. Another great recovery from him. He started 14th after a disappointing qualifying. Kimi Antonelli will be in the points once again. Gabriel Bortoleto and Isaac Hadjar, who started in the pit lane, is currently holding off Carlos Sainz for the 1 remaining point in this race. And all the while I've been saying that's allowed Max Verstappen to complete another 3.6 miles, and he's now starting his final lap, Martin, as he powers towards, with another new lap record, at what will be win number 66 in his career.
Bodes well for Las Vegas as well, because a very similar aero setup there. So that looks good for Red Bull. They've definitely found a much better car, haven't they, for the high-speed, low-drag circuit of Monza. And McLaren's advantages of tyre degradation and high-speed corners doesn't exist around here, but they've still managed to get a 2nd and a 3rd.
Kelly Piquet has come to Monza to see how her partner gets on, and he's getting on very nicely. Kimi Antonelli has been given a 5-second penalty for driving erratically. That's going to cost him at least 1 place, if not 2. if not 3, and might take him out of the points in this race, which is not what he needs in his home race. If Imola was disappointing, that's going to be even worse for him. Fiona May's waiting to wave the checkered flag for Max Verstappen, whose podium at Zandvoort ended a streak of 4 races without one. It was his longest since 2018. He's come to Monza. He has smashed the track record in qualifying with the fastest lap in F1 history, and he's gone on to win the Italian Grand Prix. How about that for a weekend for Max Verstappen, our winner here at Monza this afternoon, and he's won it in a different postcode to the rest. Oscar Piastri going through the parabolica, chasing his teammate, but it's Lando Norris who finishes second to Max Verstappen. Once again in 2025, when Max wins, Lando Norris comes second, Oscar Piastri third, Charles Leclerc fourth for Ferrari. George Russell will come home to finish fifth, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who recovered, starting 10th on the grid to take 6th place. It's another fine finish for Alex Albon, who'll make 7th.
Oh, mate, that's the Italian double. Fantastico, well done, mate.
Yes! That was unbelievable, guys. Insane. Well done, everyone, well done. You executed that really, really well. What an unbelievable weekend. We can be really, really proud of that. Well done, everyone.
They certainly can. After Imola comes Monza, and Max wins once again. Albon does finish 7th, Portoletto 8th. Antonelli does remain in the points, even with that 5-second penalty. He's ahead of Isaac Hadjar, and Sainz just misses out ahead of Behrman, Sonoda, Lawson, Ocon, Gasly, Colapinto and Stroll. And we lost Fernando Alonso with suspension failure, and Nico Hulkenberg with a hydraulic issue before the start of the race.
Oscar, I appreciate that was pretty painful in a way, but I think you've done the right thing. We can talk about it after. Finished P3.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one. Once the rear calmed down a bit, then it was alright, but yeah, a bit lively to the race. But thanks for the effort. Not the easiest of weekends, and yeah.
Hadjar from the pit lane, of course, for a World Championship point there.
What a victory for Max Verstappen. So comfortable. He pushed the team in a direction on setup. He knew that he could handle just a little bit less downforce to give Red Bull that straight line speed, and he's made great use of it.
It's another masterclass you made, Max. What to say? 20 seconds on McLaren. Race pace, you had everything. Race pace, control. Yeah, very proud. Well done, Max.
Yeah, well done, well done. And first win for you two in the team, so congrats everyone.
I was about to say Laurent Mekies, who's taken over from Christian Horner as team principal at Red Bull, picked up a sprint win with Max Verstappen in his first race in charge, now gets his first Grand Prix win as Red Bull team boss.
And apologies about the stop.
Was there a reply?
No.
Ferrari
reply
come
from
home
Lando.
in formation. 4th and 6th for them, leaves them on 280 points in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren now have 617 points. So that is now 337 points, the McLaren lead, and they can very much win the title in Baku next time out. They need to be 346 points clear of their nearest challengers. So that easily be done with the 1st and 2nd. And if not, then they've got a slightly easier task in Singapore after that.
Attitude is poor.
It's
not like you're gonna win the race, but they still gave you the 2nd place, so that's fine. You should just respond back to the
I should say.
It's a 1 hour 13 and 23 seconds. So 1 hour 13 minutes and 23 seconds. Thank you to our producer Tommy, who's just told me that when you asked the question, Martin. That then, ladies and gentlemen, is the fastest Formula 1 race you will ever see until the next time the record gets broken. Michael Schumacher's record for the 2003 Italian Grand Prix has gone, and it's been won by this man. He is officially the fastest man in qualifying and in a race here at the Temple of Speed.
That's taken the thick end of a minute off it, hasn't it? Wow. 73 and a bit minutes for a Grand Prix.
And if I was Red Bull, I'd pay him half the wages because he's not done a full afternoon shift.
Another Monaco Grand Prix distance is the first complete lap beyond 300 kilometres.
Yep, and he won by 19 seconds. Ferrari came here with a lot of hope, I think, that Charles Leclerc could maybe repeat last year's heroics, or Lewis Hamilton could get his first Grand Prix win for the Scuderia, but their win tally here stays at 20. First constructor to win 20 races or Grand Prix at a single venue. They finished outside
just
the
looks so
podium.
cool and calm.
And he,
Oscar looks
Piastri,
cool and calm.
31 points clear in the championship now.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's ever going to be particularly happy with what just happened, but I think when he hears Lando being so compliant and thinking about Oscar's race against Charles Leclerc, I think he will understand it more than he does right now.
He did exactly what I expected he would do, and said his piece to the team on the radio. I'm sure we'll have a view when he gets into the debrief as well. But you know, as he told me in Zandvoort, I want to win this, but I'm not going to go against the team. I'm going to need them to help me become world champion, if that's going to happen in the 2025 season. Max Verstappen is, 94 points behind in third place in the championship. It's still looking very good for the McLaren drivers.
A Ferrari driver on that amazing podium. Unfortunately today for them and the fans, many of the fans.
Oscar Piastri, third position, congratulations. How was your race? Hard battle at the beginning with Leclerc that was very fast on the straight, and then how do you judge your race?
Yeah, difficult beginning, definitely. I think
and
you know, what maybe
ending,
not my best first couple of laps, and then yeah, we seemed to have pretty good pace for the first couple of laps compared to Charles, and then I could get past, and then yeah, it was a pretty lonely race from there. So just struggled a little bit through the first part of the race. You know, the car wasn't exactly how I liked, and yeah, once the tires went away, it actually felt a bit better, which is never a great sign. So yeah, happy with the points, and I'll take it.
And at the end, about the strategy, you tried something different using the soft at the end. The little problem that you had with the team, with your teammate, how was there?
Yeah, I mean, we went so long that the soft seemed like a good tire to put on. And yeah, you know, we were just staying out for safety cars if we got any, but yeah, eventually Max got back into our pit window, so there wasn't any point staying out much longer, and yeah, incident at the end, but that's okay.
Good points anyway for the championship, no risk at all during this weekend. I think it's fine.
Yeah, not a bad weekend. I think, you know, obviously would love the performance to have been a little bit better, but all in all, I think there's a lot of things to learn from this weekend, so yeah, happy going forwards, and yeah, we'll try and be stronger next week.
Thank you so much. Championship leader, Oscar Piastri, congratulations.
The Tifosi are now allowed onto the track.
Lando Norris, what a great start, to be honest. What a great start. I have in mind, did you leave the throttle down there when you touched the grass, that you were close the door a bit too much, Max, or no?
Also a little bit. I had to, but I try to keep it, even on the braking to turn one. I try to stay, but I always know it's going to be a good fight with Max, and it was. So enjoyable, but just not the speed today, not the pace of Max and the Red Bull. So a tricky one of the first few weekends where we're just a bit slow, but it's still fun, still a good race, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the first part of it, that's sure. Can you talk us through what happened at the end at the pit stop?
No idea. I don't know. I felt like I was there for quite a long time, but yeah, I guess every now and then, you know, we make mistakes as a team, so today was one of them.
And about the championship, what do you think? Right, you were not lucky at all in the last weekend. Seems that this weekend everything was running in your direction, but then Red Bull and Verstappen quicker than you, second position. What do you think about the championship?
Yeah, I mean, I did everything I could today. You know, I couldn't do a lot more. I tried to fight against Max, but we had a good race, and he came out on top, and they deserved it. So nothing more. You know, second was our best result, and I just need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Second position. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Lando Norris.
Oh, the Tifos are out, bro. Look at them.
Max Verstappen, race winner. What an unbelievable performance. After yesterday, that already was astonishing. Your lap, talk us through your race, because it was something, that performance was legendary, I think.
Yeah, it was a great day for us. Yeah, of course, that one was a bit unlucky, but then after that, we were flying. The car was, for me, really enjoyable. I could manage the pace quite well throughout that first stint. And I think, yeah, we pitted at the right time. Then, you know, with the hard tires at the end, you can push a bit more. They're a bit more resilient. And, yeah, just fantastic execution by everyone,
just too
by the whole
fast.
team. I think the whole weekend we were on it.
There's nothing anyone else could have
of course,
done.
super enjoyable to win here.
And tell me about the start. You were super hard, like always, like Max Verstappen. When you lost the leadership, have you got in mind that was possible for you to win this race anyway, or you had a bit of doubt? What was in your mind at that time?
I could see that immediately the pace was quite good. I just needed to settle in. There was a lot of fighting going on. And then I could see the pace was there, and quite quickly we were back in the lead.
And about your car, seems that was perfect today. Do you think that you're going to have some more chances this year to let us enjoy your driving?
Well, we'll try for sure. You know, we'll go step by step, race by race. But for us, this, of course, was an unbelievable weekend.
Well done. Congratulations. Max Verstappen, the winner.
Good race, very good race.
Davide Belsecchi with the interviews, and whilst that was going on in Parc Fermé, the Tifosi have gathered underneath the podium as Max Verstappen signs another champagne bottle, and victorious here today for his third win of the season. A win that was never in doubt after the opening stages. Once he managed to pull clear, he certainly couldn't catch him today. 66 times he's taken the checker flag now to win a Grand Prix. This one will feel very special for him. A third Grand Prix win in Monza.
He's very animated, very happy is Max, despite all of his victories. Punching the air like that is, for Max, I think quite animated these days. He needed that. That was an important race for him.
He's still got it. When the car is there for him, he delivers. Let's head to the cool-down route.
Try.
No.
They looked at it for and then they're like, oh, it's not.
Start with this.
That was nice, though. I wish that Mameras.
Yeah, man, he was so quick on the straights, but so slow on the corners.
Ready? Fell off. Yeah.
Like I thought the suspension hurt.
What was he trying to do?
Did you see? I think it was this when.
This one, the yellow flag was there?
Yeah. I think. No, this. Oh, here we go. Oh no. Did you see on the big screen when they spun in turn 4?
Yeah, and I was like, no, come on, continue, please.
I was like, come on.
Yeah, get in the gravel, get in the gravel. Oh. That's true.
Max looking at his name on the wall, wondering when did they start putting those letters on? Probably about lap 10.
It's a very speedy action, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that talking about the Behrman science incident. which could so easily have resulted in a safety car if either of those two cars had stalled and they hadn't got going once again. And that might have been the biggest threat to Max Verstappen in the final 3 quarters of the race.
Yeah. He probably would have just have kept track position, but then the McLarens would have had the fresher tyres and the DRS.
Yeah, and then it would have been soft against hard tyres. So a 1:13.24.325 at an average speed of 155.791 miles an hour. This has been the fastest race in Formula One World Championship history. Here's the man that's finished 3rd in that race, Oscar Piastri, championship leader, coming out onto the podium for a 24th time.
And of course those times and numbers depend also on a virtual safety cars, red flag even. But that was a relentless pace today.
It certainly was. Lando Norris. Is that cheers or jeers for Lando Norris? I wonder. For Max Verstappen, though, I think it is all cheers. And I hope it was cheers for Lando Norris. I've seen a lot of Lando fans here, and they're all very happy. But Dutch and Austrian national anthem time. It's Max Verstappen on podium #1 again.
Right, thanks guys for watching. Thanks for staying with us. If you're checking in now, appreciate that. We'll end this. Max, congratulations, Max. Lewis, I don't know who they voted driver of the day. Who won it? Somebody, let me see. Actually, one driver of the day. They've not announced it. Max won it. Max won driver of the day, so fair play. I voted for Lewis because he came from 10th to 5th or 6th. So fair play to Max. He drove a really good race today. Brilliant race. You couldn't fault him, and he took control after the first, second, third lap, and he was just like nowhere to be seen. Disappeared. But the guys at McLaren, they did try. And the ending there must not have been easy for Oscar, but you know they didn't have a chance of winning the race anyway. So what's the point in whinging about it? Just swap says, and get it done. And they did. So Lando finished 2nd, Oscar finished 3rd. He's currently at 31 point. Well, it's cut down. His leader's been cut down to 31 point. That's still a big margin when you consider that in Formula One. So fair play to him for switching or for swapping with Lando. There you go, Max lifting his trophy right there. Congrats for Red Bull and Max. I wonder though what Max would have done if that situation that happened with McLaren between Norris and on the pit lane. You reckon Max would have swapped? I would have been like, nope, it's nothing to do with me. I'm gonna win my race. I don't care. I'm not here to make friends. I'm just here to win a race. Let's go. You reckon Max would have swapped again? Would have given up that position? But I believe he would have because he's older now, he's mature.
It's his first Grand Prix win.
You know what I mean?
As
The younger
Red Bull
Max would
team
have been
boss,
like, nah, I'm not.
But McLaren, it's a 2 and 3 again, as it was this time last year for them. They might have felt that this track didn't necessarily
the Tifosis are really,
aid the strengths of their car to come away with a 2-3. They won't mind that, I'm sure.
I think what will upset McLaren is get thrashed basically by 20 seconds. That's what I think will surprise them.
Oh, look at that.
It is champagne, it is smoke, it is the Italian flag that can be seen
all
above the
over,
grandstand What a day here, though, for Max Verstappen. To our viewers on Sky Sports main event, you're off to see the cricket now. The Formula One reaction continues here at Monza on Sky Sports F1. So F1 fans, retune to Sky Sports F1. Cricket on main event. The main event here in Monza, no doubt about that. It was Max.
So far this season. So I do hope Oscar Piastri wins the championship.
Yes, his third win of the season, his third here at Monza. Really, 66 career wins now. It was a Max masterclass here at the fastest race in Formula One history. As you can see, it meant the world to him. And even though there isn't a Ferrari on the podium, that crowd is there to support them all. What a day that's been for Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Now, just 2 weeks, and it's back to Baku.
Welcome to Baku, the land of fire, the city of winds. It's the Baku City Circuit. And down the